Good morning, everyone. I'm Sajin, bringing you your daily dose of hope. Have you ever heard or experienced that phrase called a runner's high? If you're a runner, you'll likely know what this means, but if you're not, I will try to describe it as best as I can. I'm actually no runner myself anymore, but in high school there was a period of time where I joined the track team. When I first started out training, I came from running, never, to running every single day. It took me months to come anywhere close to experiencing a runner's high, let alone be able to run a mile without stopping to catch my breath. I vividly remember the first day of track when I was the dead last one in the pack of girls at training, and I was behind by several blocks. It would have been easy enough for me to walk back to the school and say I had just run a different route, but I knew that if I didn't force myself to push through that discomfort and keep running on day one, then I would set a weak precedent for myself starting out, and my lack of agility would definitely show when it was time to be put to the test on race day. So every day, even though it was probably the worst physical experience of my life, I went to practice anyway, and I kept increasing the amount of time I could run without stopping, little by little. And it paid off. Come time for the 800 meter at my first ever race, I finished somewhere in the middle of the pack, which is not last, not first, but it was a huge success for my newbie runner self. Over time, I continued to run and would often practice at nights when it was cooler outside. And I distinctly remember going on a run through my neighborhood one night, and I finally experienced what one calls the runner's high. The run had started out like any other, legs fighting fatigue, lungs burning with each inhale. And as usual, at the 15-minute mark, my body was telling me to just give up. But at this point, I was seasoned enough to know that slowing down my pace would only kill my fire altogether. And even though my body felt ready to give up, I was not. So I kept going, working past the burning in the lungs and in my legs, and come the 30-minute mark, the endorphins kicked in, the pain melted away, and I felt like a machine that could go for hours without breaking down. I even remember smiling at that point because running had actually become fun. That is the runner's high. Science behind the runner's high shows that a short, casual run likely won't produce enough discomfort to trigger that needed endorphin rush that gives you that high feeling. And if you attempt a pace or a distance that's too aggressive, you'll probably be too overwhelmed by the effort to feel any good. It's all about finding the sweet spot of a comfortably challenging pace. Does that phrase seem a little contradictory to you? Comfortably challenging? Maybe you don't consider yourself a runner, but if you are a Christian, then you are. In Hebrews 12:1, the Apostle Paul encourages us in the same way, saying, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." What's fascinating about the runner's high is how closely it relates to our faith walk, or run if you will. If you don't practice enough self-discipline, grounding yourself in God's word and spending time with Him in prayer and in His presence, you'll find your faith easily crushed when things get hard. And on the flip side, if you run at an unsustainable pace, trying to be everything to everyone and do everything that needs to get done on your own, you're going to burn out very quickly. So how do you experience the runner's high in your faith walk? Well, the answer is always the same. It's Jesus. The physical cause behind a runner's high is a rush of endorphins that swoop in and sustain you when you feel like you're about to give out. In the same way, it is Jesus' role to sustain us in our walk. If you set patterns in your life of turning to Jesus daily, both in praise and in prayer, by rooting yourself in His word and resting in His presence, you will help set yourself up for success in your walk. Not in the sense that trials won't come your way, but in the sense that when they do, they will not overtake you. And in fact, you may even experience joy through it. Life is a long race, and it can be hard to find the right pace at which to run. But in setting habits in your life that point you consistently back to Jesus, He will help you find that comfortably challenging pace so that you can both endure and thrive in your walk.